Thank you for joining us today. I call the September 18 meeting of the Human Rights Commission to order. Let us begin with an introduction of commission members.
Cody Severson, Commission Member.
Nancy Boyle, Commission Member.
Sekou Sirleaf, Chair of the Commission.
Tambasa, Commission Member.
Carolyn V. Kraft, Commission Member.
Aaron S. Kara, Commission Member.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approving of the agenda of the meeting. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting today?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second? Motion has been moved by Nancy Boyle, seconded by Carolyn Beechcraft. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say sign. Motion carried. The next item is to approve the minutes of the July 17, 2025 regular meeting and the August 2025 strategic planning meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those?
Motion to approve minutes from July 17th and from strategic planning on August 21st.
Can I get a second? We have a motion by Nancy Boyle, seconded by
Second, Tambasa.
Tambasa.
Yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next item on our agenda, we have a presentation from High Plains Fair Housing. Michelle Boyd couldn't join us in person, so we have Kelly Gorse
Yep, and then you can go.
with us to update the community on High Plains Fair Housing. Can we have Kelly? Floor is yours. Thank you.
Sekou, before we start on the first item, Kristen is online too.
I forgot to introduce Kristen. We have Kristen Nelson online. Can you just please introduce yourself quickly? It was an
Hi,
oversight.
Kristen Nelson, Commission Member.
Thank you, Kristen. It was an oversight.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Is your mic on?
I'm not sure, do I?
Just hit the green button. There's a little button with a man's face and, oh. Okay, this says it's on.
Good, we're good to go. All right, thank you.
Yep, you can just pull it
forward.
closer.
There we go. Oh,
Thank
there
you.
we go. Better.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And thank you again. Yes, apologies from Michelle Ridds, Executive Director of High Plains Fair Housing Center, who couldn't make it. My name is Kelly Gores. I am an independent fair housing consultant here in the Fargo area, but I work closely with High Plains Fair Housing Center and was in past has been their associate director as well. So I'm very familiar with them and very honored and excited to be here to speak on Michelle's behalf today. So thank you for having us. Where you live matters. I don't have a presentation, but just want to talk a bit about fair housing as a whole and thank Fargo's commitment to fair housing as a community. We all know where you live matters. It shapes your access to schools, to jobs, to healthcare, safety, and the chance for you to be part of a thriving community. Yet for a lot of people in Fargo and across North Dakota, barriers to housing still exists. I'm here today, like I said, on behalf of High Plains Fair Housing Center. High Plains Fair Housing Center is the only fair housing nonprofit in North Dakota. They work across the state of North Dakota and South Dakota to strengthen communities and ensure equal access through their educational programming, enforcement, and advocacy. So they help people learn about their fair housing rights and responsibilities. They do this to housing providers, individuals, community groups, cities, things like that. But they also do enforcement where they make sure people are following fair housing laws, federal and state fair housing laws. And their most important piece is they do advocacy. So that's where they work with individuals to help them either file a fair housing complaint, help them mediate with their landlords over a fair housing issue, or to help an individual exercise their rights as well. So those are the three things that they do in North Dakota and in the city of Fargo as well. Like I said, I am an independent fair housing consultant with Rooted Access LLC, but as a former associate director of High Plains and also as a former HUD equal opportunity specialist, I have seen firsthand in this area how critical this work is for the people of Fargo. Fair housing is very broad, very encompassing law. But really what it comes down to is it means that all individuals have a right to access housing free from illegal discrimination. The Fair Housing Act of 1968 protects people from discrimination based on their race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, and familial status. So those are the federal laws that are covered under the Fair Housing Act. In North Dakota, we have the same laws and we have additional protections as well. So in North Dakota, those additional protected classes include marital status, people over 40, and those who receive public assistance. These protections matter because where you live isn't just an address. We know it's an opportunity, right? Equal access means stronger families, but while that process is free, it can be complicated, it can be have emotional costs, and it can be time consuming. And that's where High Plains Fair Housing Center really makes a difference in an individual's experience. They can guide people through investigations, they can guide them through formal complaints, they can guide them through mediation, as most often they help people resolve issues before they escalate through that mediation, education, advocacy, those kind of things. And beyond helping individuals, they do a lot of education and outreach work. So they've had an impact in the state and in this city here alone. Looking through their work for the last year in 2024, they trained over 3,500 housing providers in the state of North Dakota and consumers on their rights and responsibilities under the Fair Housing Act. And they distributed more than 16,000 educational matters in 7 different languages. As a whole, their organization fielded over 370 fair housing related calls. They had close to 1,000 housing related calls, but 370 of those, so about a third, were fair housing related calls in their service area. This year alone in Fargo, North Dakota, they've already fielded 93 intakes calls from residents who are facing possible housing discrimination. Most often that discrimination comes from towards people with disabilities who are either denied access to housing or denied reasonable accommodation or modification in their housing. But it has covered nearly all protected classes have come in through these calls to the city of Fargo. Residents have also cited race, sex, national origin, familial status, and public assistance issues as well on those 93 intakes. Every one of those numbers represents a neighbor, a family, a community member who had their housing rights protected here in Fargo. Fargo is growing and it's diversifying. With growth comes the responsibility and the opportunity, really, to make sure every resident can access housing fairly. That's why it's so important that the Human Rights Commission continue to affirmatively further fair housing, not only by responding when discrimination does happen, but also by actively working to build inclusive communities where everyone belongs. Today, I invite us to celebrate the progress Fargo has already made to embrace the vision of what more is possible. Fair housing is not just a legal requirement, it's a promise that we make to one another that our city is strongest when all people in all neighborhoods have the freedom to live where they choose and the opportunity to thrive. Together, we can ensure Fargo continues to grow as a community rooted in fairness, diversity, and dignity for all. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
First and foremost, thank you, because I know it was a quick turnaround time when Michelle couldn't come and reached out to you, so thank you for that. Also, would you be willing to share what you shared with us today? Could I get a copy of that email-wise?
Absolutely.
Just so we have those numbers, some of those additional things, as people reach out, we can make sure we're pointing them in the correct direction.
Absolutely.
And for right now, that's the responses or questions I have, but I'm sure there's other commissioners that may have some questions, so thank you.
Yes. I will make sure that their annual report's attached to that as well, so you can see even more numbers.
Hi. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question about real estate investment trusts. And I know from what we've been briefed before that over 60% of the housing in Fargo is rental. And these investment trusts, I know there are a lot of them here. Is there a correlation? Because it's really an investment, so they want to make money. So is there a correlation with raised rents or difficulty of lower-income people finding housing because of these real estate investments trusts? Is there a relationship there?
Sure. So I don't have data or, anything specifically or any testing results to link those two explicitly off the top of my head. I'd be happy to do some follow-up on that. But for certain, again, mentioned the state of North Dakota has receipt of public assistance discrimination. Some issues that often come up with discrimination that makes it into that kind of gray area is where somebody might have a voucher and they're kind of all the housing is priced out of their voucher, right?
Right.
So that does make that housing inaccessible. So if that might be an issue that needs to be looked into further from a fair housing aspect of, okay, even though there might not be discriminated based on their race, color, disability status, there's still a whole section of our population who cannot access housing. And if that is, they are losing that access to certain schools that they might want to go to, closeness to their jobs, their places of worship. So important to keep in mind. I don't have a direct correlation off the top of my head, but I think that's worthy of a follow-up.
But it seems to me that because their goal is to make money, and so they would raise the rents above what it normally would be, so there'd be a profit motive. And it seems to me they're quite logical that there could be a real relationship between those. As you said, their voucher may not cover that, doesn't take that into account. And housing is a huge issue for many people. And so I would really appreciate any information you have to look into that, because I think it's
Certainly.
worthy of discussion.
Certainly,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I have a different set of questions or concern. Firstly, we applaud you for your involvement with providing housing opportunities for our people. Now, my question to you will be, firstly, is there a consideration for the geographical location in which these houses are being placed? And what is the yardstick or yardbrum that is used to constitute the location for these places? I would like you to address that first. And the next thing I would also want you to address, as we are happily involved in advocating for housing for people, equally so, what is the vetting system that's put into place to address people getting in those areas and people getting integrated into our community? In the wake of the constant, most recent violence that have been happening within the neighbors, we have people within the community that reach out to us and are concerned and stating that the violence within the community is in relations with our people that are not in housing or people that are trying to get involved in the housing. So these two are correlating, and I want to know what is the step you people take towards getting this information or getting these things under control.
Can I just clarify on that first one? Do you mean like public housing, where the location for where that's decided, where location is for
Yes.
public housing? Yep, so there is, I'll speak, maybe not from the High Plains Fair Housing Center, but maybe I'll speak from my HUD compliance specialist position, who actually used to oversee making sure that cities and municipalities were making sure they're integrating their communities and they're not developing public housing in the concentrated area or minority concentrated, to make sure that there's access everywhere, right? So that we're not creating areas where one protected class might be more likely to concentrate, and actually creating segregation in our communities. So that is something that is a responsibility of the city of Fargo to make sure that they are doing when they are looking at their CDBG plans, when they're looking at their annual action plans, when they're getting any kind of federal dollars that goes towards towards housing. That is a responsibility of all anybody who receives federal funding, to make sure that they're not creating segregation. So if that is something that is being seen, that's where an agency like High Plains Fair Housing Center, and I do apologize, I can't speak to the specifics on the work that they're doing currently, but that is something that they can investigate further and produce some recommendations if they are seeing that this housing is being concentrated. So that is something with them that I will have Michelle follow up with for sure, to see if that's something that they are doing currently right now, or something that they have in the plans, or how you might want to work with them to do that.
Well, thank you. Maybe in the light to that, we will strongly encourage if Michelle who actually pay a visit, because then it looks like more like she have more of information that we really need as compared to you. But thank you for addressing my concern.
Thank you for practicing for Michelle. Really appreciate all the information you provided. In your presentation, you mentioned there were 93 complaints that were received. I just want to know if those complaints were investigated and what were the outcomes.
I don't have the specific numbers, and because they are from the beginning of this year up till running, some of them are probably still in the, a lot of them are probably still in the process of it. That is something too I can put in a follow-up email as well when I do what the outcomes are so far. Most of, I'd say 70 to 80% of their numbers from past are dealt with through mediation. So a lot of times, most of the time, people don't want to file a complaint, right? They don't want to go through this laborious process. Even though it doesn't cost money, it costs time, it can cost money in other ways. So most of the time they will come to High Plains not wanting to file a complaint, and High Plains will work with them, with their landlord, and resolve it that way. So they're not, I think last year, I wish I had their annual report in front of me, I apologize for that. I think last year, like I said, they had over 370 fair housing calls. Over 208, about around 280 of them were done through mediation and advocacy work, and they only had 14 filed complaints where people went forward through that complaint process. So people are able to get that resolution without this, months-long process. They're able to get that resolution, stay in their housing, get any kind of modification or accommodation they might need. So I don't have specific numbers for that. And a lot of times people just need to know their rights, and so that they can exercise them themselves too. So that's what happens with a lot of their numbers.
Thank you, Kelly, for that wonderful presentation and the interaction with commission members. I mean, with such short notice that you had, I mean, that was commendable. Thank you.
Thank you.
And extend our greetings to Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chris Brungart. You got it. There you go. Chief Executive Officer with the Housing Authority is joining us today to talk about the Housing Authority. The floor is yours, Chris.
Bring up my presentation here. I think I'd take a quick opportunity to actually address a couple of your questions that you asked here. It might be a little bit more in my venue. One was your question about concentration poverty, about where the housing is located at. Whenever you're using federal funds, you have to do an environmental study on this. I don't know why they call it environmental. That's just what they do. It's a NEPA study, National Environmental Policy Act of 1970, whatever. And one of those things that you have to review in that is the concentration of poverty, and that's based back on the last census and economic data, and they will not allow you to use federal funding in areas that could adversely impact or increase the concentration of poverty. So that's one of the things that we look at when we're trying to locate where we're going to different spots. And other thing I like to say about the fair housing is they're great advocates. We've used them for training our own staff, and we've actually been on the other side when they've been representing our clients. So it's they're a great resource to be used, and I really appreciate that they're here and available. So if you got questions, just shout them out whenever you want. I'm happy to answer them as we go. But here's kind of our mission statement. Our mission is to empower people to achieve independence through housing. So I think I was here a couple of years ago talking about this, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding exactly what Fargo Housing does and what we don't do. And truly what we do is we administer federal programs, the HUD programs. We provide Section 8 vouchers, affordable housing, and public housing, and that's pretty much what we stick to. Right here, what is Fargo Housing? Well, I guess I just said it. We have 38 people, or staff 38. We have 204 units of public housing. Used to have, at one time, Fargo had over 600 units. So that's actually been slowly converted over to actually affordable housing. Like you just saw the Lashkowitz. If I minimize this here real quick, I'll go all the way back here. You'll see our Lashkowitz site's actually right here. That's actually a 5-story building there right now. It used to be 22 stories. and we imploded it almost a year ago. And now we have this coming back up. So that's going to be, so we're converting 247 units of public housing to 110 units. It might be a net loss, but it's, we're putting up 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units here. So I digress, I apologize, but I get kind of excited about some things every so often. So, but our public housing, we have one low-rise unit called the Pioneer. It's 42 units just over here on 10th Street. And then we have 162 scattered sites. And these scattered sites is what we call our single-family houses and duplexes. And they're located in North Fargo, Center Fargo, and South Fargo. So we kind of try to get these throughout the entire geographical region. Just come right back to the concentration part again. We have over 2,000 Section 8 vouchers. So, and when she addressed your question before about vouchers, and I think people are being priced out of homes that because the rents are too high and our payment standards don't cover what those voucher is. Another thing to touch on with our vouchers is we're currently spending about 103% of our appropriations from the federal government for our vouchers. So we're actually deficit spending down our reserves. And this is concerning me because we haven't issued all our vouchers that we're allowed. So we're spending all the money because the cost of housing keeps going up. And now as we're coming up to the appropriations for both the Senate and the House versions of the bill is the best case scenario is keep that funding flat. So that rents go up another 3%. Well, I don't know how long we can continue deficit spending. And so that starts wondering if we're going to be removing families from our programs. Hopefully only through attrition that comes to that. We have tenant support activities, was it resident opportunity and support services and family self-sufficiency programs. These are programs that we actually have people go out and help families find resources that they need to, you know, if it's food, if it's clothing, if it's, you know, school supplies. They're here trying to connect those supportive services to the families, trying to build people up. The families, the FSS, now that's a wonderful program that HUD has. And it's mainly just for our public housing clients. But if someone enters in public housing, and they start paying, let's say their share of their rent is $100 a month, and they get to be more and more successful, and they have a higher income, and let's say that they're now able to pay $200 a month towards their rent. Well, that change, that delta, that $100 a month goes into account for them, and when they complete the program, they get all that money back. And we've had instances when it's been tens of thousands of dollars and people use this money to go buy themselves a house when they actually get off the program. So it's just wildly, why everyone's not in this, I don't know. I can't see what the downside of it is, but it's tough to get people to want to do things. And we also develop new affordable housing. I showed you that picture, 110 units of Lashkowitz. We have 144. We don't have a flashy name for it yet, but that used to be a conversion some public housing. We had 12 public housing units down in the corner of 18th Street and 25th Avenue South. It's on a 3-acre parcel of land with 12 individual houses. Our scattered sites are aging, and they're having deferred maintenance, and they're so incredibly expensive to maintain. You know, we instead of having a high-rise, or I shouldn't say an apartment building with no, like two front doors, we had 12 front doors. We have 12 roofs. We have 12 furnaces. So it just could be that much more. So we're actually converting that from the 12 units to a 65-unit apartment building. And then we're also looking at the Burrell and Colonial, which is up here in 4th and 4th over here. We had a fire last year at the Colonial, so we just demolished that one, and we're looking at probably in a 5-year time frame, hopefully saving the Burrell. You know, that's a great old building outside, but we about have a half block downtown and want to come back up with 84 units there. So we have two different parts of our business. One is our public housing and vouchers, and then we have affordable housing, which is all, you know, vouchered also. So we actually have everything everyone who lives in any of our housing is subsidized. I just want to talk about eligibility. We have our different programs have different income levels, and here I'll just, right there it's the income level, so you kind of get the idea. For public housing, this be the bottom line here, the low income 80% housing. Those are the income limits to live in public housing. Our LIHTC, low income housing tax credits, I know Beyond Shelters be talking about that. They're a great provider of tax credits. They work in the 60% income level. And then you look at the vouchers, they're at the 50% income level. So the different programs have different income levels. But when you start looking at some of the vouchers, I mean, family 4 considered to be eligible for 57.8, that's a lot of people are probably eligible for a subsidy and they don't even realize that. So back here, I just talked about the income limits right there. Background checks. There's Fargo Housing only has a 3-year look back for any type of violent crimes, drug offenses. Look at that. We've changed that. It's past 1 year now. We'll have a 12-month look back. Things that we have immediate denial, and these are the HUD regulated ones, the federal mandates. If you're a lifetime sex offender or you manufactured meth in public housing, those we don't have any look. We have to deny you subsidy on those. Other than that, potential eligibility within the last year and type of violent crimes. So we're not too stringent on our things. With the vouchers, that's to be eligible for a voucher, but then once again, the landlord has their own background checks they run, and they may deny somebody for unsuitability. And that's where I would suggest you go to Fair Housing and talk about that if you don't think that's quite fair. And then documents we're required to have is Social Security numbers, proof of identification, and if you're foreign born, your immigration documents. So when you hear all this craziness about illegal people living in our housing, no, that doesn't happen. Just does not happen. Talked about income limits, public housing. They're actually owned. All our housing is owned by Fargo Housing through a declaration of trust, so it has to be maintained as public service until we are able to move it out. Talked about that. Our affordable housing, here's everything that we have right now. We have New Horizons, which is up north at 2525 Broadway. It's 100% ADA accessible, so we have a lot of, it's the only one around that I know of that's 100%, but it's a great thing up there. 84 unit Elliott Place out here in 45th Street, about 40th Avenue, and that's 55 plus. It's full. We have 42 units, so actually now 22 units at Burrell and Colonial. And Herald Square, we have some downtown. Herald Square, 220 Broadway, and Church Townhomes. No turnover there. I think we have the same people living there for over 5 years. So that we were funded through low-income housing tax credits through our IRS program, housing trust funds, housing incentive fund from the state of North Dakota, which is a wonderful thing the state does. And they just greatly increased that amount. So we might be able to use that. I'm trying to get money for that to rehab the SRO building, which is just right over here at 69 4th Street. So if we can get 22 units of studio housing back there, that'd be a great resource for downtown. And then right here, we're talking about our Section 8 vouchers. We have over 2,000 vouchers, and talks about all our different types of programs we have in here. My predecessors never found a program they didn't like, I think. So it's all sorts of stuff. We have about 1,700 housing choice vouchers. Those are just regular vouchers. Home ownership program. We actually have a partnership with families that purchase their own home, and these subsidies go towards paying their mortgage payments. So we're actually helping both ways there. Family reunification program, exactly what it says, trying to keep families together, whatever it might be, someone who's experienced some type of issues and the children removed from the family, if we can bring those families back together. That's a great deal. We have 75 vouchers there. We have VA vouchers for 100. Mainstream is the disability vouchers, trying to get people that have certain disabilities moved in. Then we have project-based vouchers, And these are vouchers that we put in affordable housing or other apartment buildings that specifically for that purpose to defray the costs and make it. Cooper House is a perfect example. That place wouldn't function without project-based vouchers, and that's what keeps the lights on. And also, it's a great development tool. People know they have we're actually able to have a waiting list for it, for people to get in here. So we're spending that budget authority changes from month to month. Talked about the new plan developments, and that's it. So.
Wonderful, Chris. Great presentation. Thank you. Because of the time crunch we're under, I will encourage commission members to keep your questions to just one, so we got so much more steps to make, so thank you.
Great presentation. I'm actually impressed. Thank you. Also, thanks for addressing the eligibility for the housing, because I have few people reach out to me in community and were concerned, and knowing that you were coming today, I like, oh, we're going to have this conversation. I like, well, it's a time to clear the air or clear the myth. So thank you for addressing that. My one and only concern is with the job that you're doing, and given the fight consistently, I see you guys are in deficit going above 100% of your expenditures to address these issues. My own fear is that the continuity of that. How long are you guys going to keep in deficit? Because it have a direct proportion with people falling out of the program in the short term. So is there contingencies plans that have been put into place to address these issues to come to regulations is my concern.
It's a great concern. It's, we put out about $12 million, about $1 million a month in subsidies in our voucher program. And we have about $750,000 in reserves. So do the math. And it's going to come to a point that if Congress doesn't increase their funding, that we're going to have to start limiting and maybe not issue new vouchers. That we have that attrition every month when we have certain families that graduate off our programs, they don't need us anymore, or they leave the area and take their voucher with them. That my plan right now, if we have to, we just don't issue new vouchers. So I really don't want to remove anybody who's on the program, but that doesn't address the 600 people who are on a waiting list right now. So I don't want to be the guy trying to make a decision who gets one and who doesn't. So hopefully we don't have to worry about it.
Thank you, Chris. My question is based on the wait list. You mentioned there is a wait list. What's the wait list time, especially if you have 600 people that are currently waiting? And how do you approach that when you're dealing with elderly, the disabled, and so forth that are really in need of housing?
Right. Well, our wait list, like I said, there is about 600. Sometimes we close a wait list when it gets too large. We tend to want to have I'd like to keep around 6-month wait time to a year, but it's been closed probably for almost a year already. So, but how we address the priorities, we do have a certain amount of priorities. So it's the time when you come in here is in there. Then we have priority preference points for disabilities, for being a Cass Clay resident, for being a senior. All of these will give you a certain number of points, and that's where it lands you on this. And when we have so many things moving or dynamic, somebody who's at the bottom list may not ever move up the list, because when we do have it open, people to preferences, I don't want to use the term jump because that's a fair housing issue.
Right.
But it's not really manageable with this amount of waiting time. But that's the function between not having enough funding. If I have 200 unleased vouchers, I don't have the funding to put those 200 on the street. So and if I do put that in there, my 103, 105% spending is going to come 115, 120, and then I run out of money quicker.
Kristen Nelson, do you have any interaction with Chris?
I was just gonna ask about the wait list, but I believe Tombot asked that question, so I'm good.
Thank you, Chris. I'm, flattered. I mean, just listening to you. It's a wonderful job you guys are doing. A couple of things I wanted to just run through. Number one is maybe because I see so many stakeholders, partners in the room, and I know there's so many more. Maybe it's about time we could come together. I mean, it might not be a housing week, but maybe a housing day, because this 5 minutes, interaction just won't cut it, So maybe we need to bring all the partners together. Is this something you will be open to? We can reach out, plan something maybe towards next year to have a, housing day or housing week,
Oh,
something like
most
that.
definitely.
Like a town hall
I
conversation.
can talk forever, and I'm short-winded to Dustin over here, so.
Sure, and I also know the big, beautiful bill might have also affected you guys, because I know at Fair Housing, I sit on the board of High Plain Fair Housing, and I know how, that affects us too. It might have some serious impact, and housing is the foundation of everything. If we go into build equity, if we will live the American dream, pursuit of happiness and all of that, it begins with housing, because if you must apply for a driver's license, you have to have a physical address, social security, everything, depends on that. So it's huge, and I think we should all come together on a one room and have a day so that we have, a workshop and bring in all the partners and we discuss that.
We just asked Brenda to make it happen.
Thank you. Oh, Brenda, she's a magician. She can make anything
she?
happen. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you for stopping by. Next stop on our agenda is Habitat for Humanity. We have Carissa Moran, Homeowner Services Coordinator, is joining us today to provide information on Habitat for Humanity. You're welcome, Carissa.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for inviting me to this event. I'm very happy to be here today. Did you know that based on a Harvard study, about 41% of people in the FM area pay more than 30% of their income on housing? That means that they are cost burdened. 18% of people pay more than 50% of their income on housing. The way the housing market works, with equity building over time, is great for those who are currently owning a home, but it makes it increasingly harder year by year for those who have never owned a home to break into the industry. That is why I will be sharing about our program today, whether someone got divorced to leave a harmful relationship and in turn they lost their home, an immigrant family works over 40 hours a week to support them and their kids, but still can't afford a down payment, which could be $70,000, or someone's rent is simply too high and keeps rising. Everyone deserves a decent, safe, and affordable place to live. And I would like to speak on Fargo Housing as well. I've worked with them a lot, and we have a lot of families applying for our program who come from Fargo Housing, so I make sure to get proof of their vouchers and understand what they're paying for rent right now. And I didn't know that you had a home ownership program as well, or do some home ownership, so that's really cool. And we are a program that could be the next step for a lot of these families. So a lot of families coming from having the Section 8 vouchers. So I will be speaking about our program today. So who are we? We were founded in 1991, and we are an affordable homeownership program. We are located in Moorhead, Minnesota, but we serve families in Cass and Clay County. We build about 4 to 5 homes a year, and we have built 78 homes since 1991. Our mission is to build strength, stability, and self-reliance through shelter. We serve those who can't qualify for a traditional mortgage and don't make enough to break into the current housing market. The houses are not free, which is a common misconception. The selected family or individual pays a mortgage with escrow. So our program in a nutshell. Our applications open annually on July 1st and close on August 31st. We collect the applicant's family size, identification documents, US citizenship, income, debt, and monthly expenses. And we then take all the completed applications and do background checks, credit checks, sexual offender checks, interviews, and home visits. We take all of this information once we have the families that pass all of those things, and we look at 3 different criteria. We look at need, so is their current place not suitable for them to live in? Is there mold? Are things broken? Is it a dangerous area that they're living in? And is their rent just too high? Ability to pay, so similar to Fargo Housing, we look at that 50 to 80% AMI range. That is HUD guidelines, so we didn't create that amount, but it basically helps ensure that the family can pay their mortgage payments and also afford the escrow, which changes with time, and homeowners insurance, all those things. And then the last one is willingness to partner. So our program not only gives people or helps supply people with affordable housing, but we also want these families to gain skills that they wouldn't have gained living in a rental. So are they willing to put in the sweat equity hours? So depending on the amount of adults in the family, they have to do 300 to 550 hours of sweat equity volunteer hours, which can be completed over 1.5 to 2 years. So they are working in our restore, interacting with customers. They are on the build site, gaining building skills, and also doing education classes that I help coordinate. So they're learning, how does the sump pump work? How does insurance work? How do just a lot of different things like that. So they're doing those education classes, home maintenance, and then also sweat equity, as I talked about, and then various events throughout the year. So we have a family potluck. We want them to build community with each other, rely on each other. It's really cool when they actually get into the house and they say, oh yeah, we talked about installing those blinds, and we talked about the price, and I got them at Lowe's, and so that person helped me find them. So we want to encourage the families to connect with each other after they're in the home as well, to build that community. So this is a look at our income guidelines currently, very similar to the Fargo Housing. So if you were a family of 4, you would need that $57,800 to $92,500 a year to qualify for our program. So this is a really big part that ends up having a lot of people not qualify, is that they just don't qualify income-wise. So we're more of that kind of next step program. So it's amazing work that people are doing to house homeless people or unhoused people, but we're kind of that next step of once they have that stability of living in an apartment for a while, they have stable employment or at least stable income, then maybe the Habitat house is a good next step for them. So I think that's maybe a misconception, is that if there isn't that stable income, if there isn't that stability there, at least to the point to where they could make those payments, then that's where we're at. But we also want to give them the skills to even be more on their feet once they are in their house. So how are the houses affordable? I use an affordability calculator to make sure their principal is no more than 27% of their take-home pay. We do not want them to be cost burdened, because that would defeat the purpose of our program. So I put those numbers in. Most of our mortgages are 0% interest unless we go through a third party for selling our mortgage to them. So that brings the cost down a lot. The amount that the family can't afford is put into a second mortgage, which they don't touch, they don't pay on it, it just exists on the side, and then they would need to pay that back to us if they were to sell the house. We use down payment assistance programs through Habitat Minnesota, grants, and community partners that help us cover the gaps. Additionally, our donors and Restore sales help fund our homes as well. I know I didn't mention what the Restore is, but we sell secondhand refrigerators, couches, hardware, paint, all those types of home supplies. So come check us out in Moorhead. And then our community partners, these are a lot of the partners that we work with, of course, City of Fargo. City of Moorhead, West Fargo, Gate City Bank services our mortgages, Cass Clay Community Land Trust, and Midwest Bank in Barnesville. These are not all of our partners, but just some of the main ones that we work with, and we try to engage our partner families, employers, and church whenever possible. So, ways that you can help us, things that we are always looking for. We're always looking for volunteers. We are looking for a veteran to build for. We would love to do a veterans build, and we believe that if we were to have a veterans build, that would build the momentum for more veterans to apply, because a lot of times if they're dealing with mental health struggles, just struggles from when they were serving to when they're not, there's a lot of homeless veterans and veterans that just are struggling, so we want to build that momentum for that program. We are also looking for banks to buy some of our mortgages. So if we sell the mortgage to them, they give the money directly to us right away, and they get paid back monthly by the homeowner, but we can take that larger sum of cash directly and put it into a new home right away. So that helps us in that regard. Donations, of course. Land to build on is a really huge one as well. It is difficult to find land that we can afford and land in safe and good areas that is not just industrial, but that could be residential as well. So we are looking for that. And then just people who are interested in being on a committee. We have construction committee, restore committee, family selection and family mentor committees, which I work with, faith relations, and etc. So we're always looking for advocates in the community who want to help give us input and ideas for our program. Thank you very much. And I know we're doing questions now. I wasn't sure when I made this presentation, but feel free to ask me or my coworkers over here any questions now or after the event. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Carissa, for the presentation. I do have two questions, but I will try to boil it down into one. The first thing here is, what help do you need from the city in terms of land acquisition to build more homes, affordable homes for residents in Fargo? And my next question would be, you talked about there are times where you sell the mortgage to, let's say, a third party, like a bank, and most of your mortgages are 0% interest. But in an instance where you sell the mortgage to a bank, does the bank charge a new set of interest to the customer? Because I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, those are really good questions. In terms of land, pretty much just finding lots that we can use. Sometimes they're donated to us. Sometimes they're just given to us, or maybe someone cares about our mission, they want to help us in that way, but just finding lots in general that we can get our hands on, essentially. So in terms of the city helping us, I could look further into what are some tangible ways that we could do that, but we're just looking for lots that we can build on. And then when it comes to the interest question, I believe that there's no interest once the bank buys the mortgage. Oh, sorry.
You can stand beside Carissa.
I'll kind of start over on the bank question. We are trying to establish some of those banking partnerships, and it kind of depends on what the bank wants to do. Other Habitat affiliates do charge interest sometimes on their things, so it's not outside the realm to charge a lower percent interest. Obviously, we don't want to charge market rate because we do want to keep it affordable. Things like USDA, when we tap into those, I believe those are like a 4% interest, 4 to 5. So it's still more affordable, but we can't tap into USDA in Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, Dilworth. If we build out in Holly or Barnesville, we can do that. So we're trying to kind of uncover all stones to make sure that we can continue to build and serve more families. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Christian Nelson?
No questions from me, and go ahead.
No, I think she said she had no question.
I was just going to extend an additional thank you to Carissa for coming and the presentation and everything else. Saku might have a question, otherwise, I believe we're going to move forward.
Not really a question. I mean, 1991 till now, that's 34 years. You've built 78 houses. That is 2 houses in a year. Looking for veterans to build for. You don't even have to look around. Just walk downtown. There are veterans everywhere. But I think you're doing something great. I'm noticing maybe, are you having some funding challenges? You having challenges with locating property, land, to build on. You maybe low staff, volunteers. What are the challenges that, you have so much potential? I think you can do more.
Yeah, so that's a good point about the veterans. And a big issue that we face is just getting them to apply. The application process is not quick and done. We need a lot of their income verification, IDs, 401k statements if they have it, tax returns, W-2s, stuff like that. So it is a pretty in-depth process, as well as just the application where they write all their debts and their income and their dependents and have you served in the military, all of that. So the application's not quick and simple, and then it is difficult too because then you could have someone who is unhoused on the street, but maybe this isn't the first step for them. Maybe their first step is just finding housing, and then they can get to Habitat House maybe in a few years down the line. So we're kind of more that next step program, but we certainly want to find more veterans. And then a lot of the challenges that we're facing right now, on the build site, we used to have 7 go-to crew members is what they were called. So it was people who were usually retired, who had the construction knowledge, so they could help lead other volunteers who didn't have any construction knowledge coming in. Those people have aged out, they're done working on the site, and it's just really hard for us to find people who have those construction skills, trade skills, who can help guide our other volunteers. So we just hired on a new assistant construction manager in January, so now we have 2 full-time staff out there, which is great, but it's still a little bit of a challenge to have eyes on everyone and be able to assist everybody out on the build site. I would say that's one of our bigger challenges right now. Funding's always up in the air. Our funding going through as we know it, so that's a good sign, but that could be a challenge as well.
Thank you for coming. I know so many things. We're really on a time crunch. That's why I hope we can have this housing week or housing day so we can have greater time. It's at 12:53 and we still have so many other things. Sorry, Aaron, I can't take your question. But hey, drop your card and hopefully you can share some of these PowerPoint with us so we can be going through those.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up on our agenda is Beyond Shelter. We have Dustin Risma, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Asset Manager Director is joining us today and will be providing a video about Beyond Shelter. Dustin, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you guys, and thank you for the invitation to present here today. I do have a video, and we will just hit start.
The mission of Beyond Shelter is essentially developing housing for those most in need. When you think about housing and housing, what it means, housing truly does matter. It truly has an impact on people's lives. It's foundational to everything you do in life.
So it's building those projects to where they have a nice place to live that they can call home and age in place if they're seniors, multifamily, to raise their families and just improve their lives. Growing up, I grew up in some government Section 8 housing, so due to affordable housing, I'm able to just create something that I didn't have as a kid and relieve some of that burden on families or individuals.
Had to look for apartments, or I stayed in motels and rooming houses, and little bit of everything, you know, during my lifetime. This is the longest I've ever been in one place, and the security is very, very important to me. Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like to not know I had a place to go home to, you know, a place to sleep and a shelter from the cold, and the affordable housing is very important.
You know, the impact when you have a chance to visit with one of the residents that call one of our developments home, you just can't put words into the feeling and how you feel afterwards. They're always saying something that just hits home. It's simple, it's easy, but it's so meaningful to them. It's just incredible.
I really love the apartment I'm in now. Oh, I love it. It's because I have the extra room where I do my puzzles. I could read there if I would like to, and nice sized bedroom.
My favorite things here, they got almost everything here. They got a nice big refrigerator here. They got the dishwasher and washer and dryer. They got a pool table in one of the other rooms. But I've always been a pool player, so I enjoyed that.
Normally, the best part of what I do is when we do a one-year walkthrough on a building, and we get to meet with all the residents as we're making sure everything's going well with their apartment, at their home, and just getting to hear and see how happy they are. That's the part I enjoy the most.
We have a community room where we have a big table that we can do puzzles on. So you can go down and visit with everybody. We have an activities director. So we have a calendar that comes out each month with different activities.
It's very important for us to create that sense of community. We want residents to be able to interact with each other.
Right, so it's kind of like being part of a big family. You know, it's that family atmosphere of helping each other out with whatever's needed, whether it's looking out for them or giving them a ride or, you know, helping with something. Everything that you don't find in your regular apartment buildings.
Yeah, we meet almost every day in the community room for coffee around 3 o'clock, and you get to talk and visit and stuff. And I've met a lot of friends here, yeah.
So that's one thing that I think is important, especially when you get older, is that you've got people who kind of look out for you and check on you.
And that really truly brings it home as far as, yeah, what we're doing is hard, it's complicated, it's fun because you're problem solving all the time, but at the end of the day, you're having an impact on individual lives that will truly carry them forward throughout their lifespan. It's just incredible.
Wow, great presentation. Any?
This is the quickest way to clear out stuck poo.
The number one food for regular beings.
Oh.
Huh? Okay.
I was wondering where that came from.
Thank you, Dustin, for the additional comedy, and I will now mute myself and open it up to others. Yes.
Well, Justin, thank you. When I watched that video, I just was telling myself, when I get older and retired, I will have no problem being in that environment. So I just want to thank you guys for what you guys do out there. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Christian Nelson? I don't think anybody here has any question after watching that presentation. I think you guys are doing a great job, and we look forward to partnering with you in any way, shape, or form. And again, I still propose we come together as a community. I think we have so much potential, and there's so much more we can do together. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you.
All right. Administrative updates.
I don't have anything.
No administrative updates. Any announcements? Anything that is upcoming? Aaron, I know you're working on something.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. So I am working on establishing a peaceful march against violence in Fargo. If many of you like myself, watch the news, there have been constant violence within the Fargo Moorhead area. And I believe we as community need to come out as one community to make a statement, to make a stand that we do see these things that are happening, and we want to make a stand out there. So this is an opportunity to call on everybody, regardless of the constituencies that you find yourself within. This Fargo have given us the opportunity for a better life. This has been a place where we raise our kids, and our kids go to school year with the constant violence and shootings going around in Fargo. We want to condemn those acts. This is not a protest. This is a peaceful march of awareness. So on October 11, we should be next month, we want to gather at the Allen Park, right down Fargo. At the Allen Park, we will all assemble, and then the group can march out here at the City Hall, where we will have a few speakers just to address these things, because we want to make a statement as one family of Fargo Moorhead. So we encourage everybody to spread the news. I think this is a good initiative, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity also. Thank you.
And do you have a time for the march on October 11th?
Yes, thank you for that question. It should be just for an hour. So we want to gather by 11, and by 1 o'clock we want to be done.
Thank you.
I think that's a water course. Go ahead, Cody.
Oh, just quick shout out as well. I think NDSU is hosting the LGBTQ plus summit, the October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I think. They have a website, ndlgbtqplussummit.com, for information on it. Barry Nelson and a bunch of others are hosting that at NDSU in 2 weeks.
Sure, please share that in the HRC email so we can,
Sure.
have it. And yeah, it's a water course we need to get behind. We want to stop gun violence in our city, and violence in any form is unacceptable. It's not welcome here. That's not the Fargo we want. Thank you for that initiative, and I pray that the community can come out to support such a water course. We final stop on our agenda is public comments. Those who wish to address the Human Rights Commission must use the sign-up sheet. Speakers must state their name and will be limited to 2.5 minutes. Comments should not contain profanity or personal attacks. Do we have anybody here who signed up for public comments? Thank you. And even if you did not sign up and you're in the room and you wish to address the Human Rights Commission, there's an opportunity for you.
Yes, I am, is it on?
Yes.
I am Christopher Cohn, resident of Fargo, and I try to be very civically involved, and I try to represent the values of open and transparent government, which includes the nonprofits that use public funding, and as well as other values like inclusion, fairness, and something else I can't remember. And I would like to talk today regarding Fargo Housing Redevelopment Authority. And I think we have to be careful not to confuse the values of affordable housing necessarily with that organization or the people who run it. We don't necessarily know what their personal values are or what their performance has been like in that role. Okay, so personally, I've had some questionable experiences with that organization, and I've asked them to be accountable and to respond to concerns I have. They have not done so. Now, I talked to, I sent an email to Tara, the voucher program coordinator, back on July 10th. I still have not heard back from her. I have been in contact with Jill Liebolt, the CFO, since August 10th, and I've gotten no substantive responses to my concerns. And the concerns involve staff that do not respond at all to emails and phone calls, and people removed from waiting lists without a fair process being given to them. You're given a tight time deadline and then no way to contact housing
housing, the managers of housings in order to view an apartment. And then you miss the deadline, and then Fargo Housing Redevelopment Authority will contact you after the deadline and say, hey, we did contact you. That's their response. And my response is, yes, you contacted the person after the deadline. So that's why I say their responses are not substantive. And I told them, the last thing they asked me if I want to meet with 3 of them. They don't want to answer any questions. Do I want to meet with 3 of them? Maybe if they tell me the goals of the meeting and what they want to accomplish. And if I have 2 people with me too, so there's an equal amount of people. Thank you.
Do we have any other person who wish to address the Human Rights Commission? All right, I think we can bring this to a close. Let me just close like this. Housing is a basic human right, and homelessness is gradually creeping into Fargo, but there are so many causations to homelessness. It's not just drug. There are overpriced homes, bloated wait list, and long processing time, and so many things that contribute to homelessness. And so I think with the community, we need to come together to address some of these causations. And so I'm still proposing that we have a housing week or housing day, and we're going to be reaching out to some of you, the partners. We can find a good time, we can come together and start to have this conversation. Fargo is a wonderful place, and we all have the responsibility to make it so. On that note, in the absence of any other business, this meeting of the Human Rights Commission stands adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for October 16th. Thank you for coming.